I know I'm a little late. It's a little bit. It's only Tuesday. I normally try to do this on Mondays. But it's okay. Doesn't matter because whenever you see this is whenever you see it, you know? Hey y'all, Smell. I'm coming at you with some Omega energy. I have a special kind of message today. We've already talked about the retrogrades of it all. We've talked a little bit about the solar energy via the eclipse in Taurus. So now we can move on to something that's just a little bit more direct and hopefully informative and educational. The point of informing you of a lot of these things is not so you can feel superior. I know a lot of this new age stuff is just a placeholder for self-esteem issues. And if you haven't figured that out by now, I'm here to tell you, not from a place of judgment, but from a place of love. Now, if you have what is perceived to be self-esteem issues within yourself, only you can know that. Nobody else can tell you that. You know that. How you can come out of that particular programming, because a lot of this is programming too. It comes in a cloak of, it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. It comes in a cloak of, no, this is going to elevate you. You're going to be better than everybody else. And I'm here to tell you, as long as you're in this meat suit, you are no better than anybody else. Because if you cut, you bleed, just like everybody else. When you thirst, you drink, just like everybody else. Now, I will say that the more you learn, the more you educate yourself, the more you dive into new ideas and concepts and free your mind from the programming, the more elevated your energy is and your spirit is. Not as a competition to someone else, but as a release and breaking from the prison that many people find themselves in, whether they are aware of it or not. These are not new concepts, it's just is. Okay? And this doesn't mean that, oh, you're somehow better. The reason why anybody at any point can perceive themselves to be superior or better than someone else is because they think on a linear time frame. Linear time, past and future. And they always live in either. When you're living in the present and understanding that everything always is happening simultaneously, there is no better or worse, there just is. Either you are or you aren't. Are you aware or are you not aware of some things? Nobody, I don't think I've met anybody or been aware of anybody that knows all things all at once. You must also learn from your environment you're in and other people. Original ideas are very rare. In other words, come from the concept of the divine and nobody else thought of it before you. So, considering these things, how can you ever be better or worse than someone else? Now, in the present sense, that might be true depending upon your perception. In a moment, if you see someone hungry and you have extra food, you might feed them. And somebody else might see that same person and be like, that's their karma. I'm not giving them none of my food. Or instead of thinking that way, it's like, that person is beneath me and deserves what they have, or their position in life, so I'm not giving them mine. I worked hard for this. Both things can be true simultaneously, but one person chose to think, if that were me, how would I want to be treated? And that is only difference between one thing or the other, but both things are needed. I know that sounds weird to hear it, right? But if we never had competition for needs, and sometimes wants, then we'd have the same people doing the same things all the time, and the lions and the tigers and the bears would eat us. That's the most basic form of that, though. Understand that a lot of the people who typically encourage constant stress, strife, and conflict are the people who think with their hind brains. Those people are necessary in their own ways. And this is the way in which they're necessary to help the rest of us evolve. They too have their purpose. But in that same scenario I just gave to you, you have a choice on which one you want to be. You can help people evolve through strife, pain, struggle, and conflict, or you can help people evolve, and when I say people, I include yourself, through the choice that you want it to be different, a little bit easier, at least in this present moment. And that's what I mean by that. The conflict always happens either in the past or the future, or those who are past thinking or future thinking. If you don't believe me, just think of your real life. Whenever you experience stressors, anxieties, or things like that, even in the present moment, you're thinking about the future and how that's going to impact you in the future. And if it just all of a sudden out of nowhere, nothing's wrong, you just feel a wave of anxiety, the thought processes that are going through your mind are either thoughts that are something's bad is going to happen in the future after this time period, or stuff that's happened before that is coming up as a reminder of what happened to you in a stressful moment. It hardly ever was going on presently. So, a lot of the exercises of what people perceive to be or say is alignment is present thinking. Are you alive right now? Do you want to be alive? Are you healthy? Are you safe right now? Do you have something to eat? You have a roof over your head? Now, once you've said yes to those questions, that means that there is no competition for nutrients. There's no competition for survival. You can just be. Competition comes into place when you decide that you want to be, or you're trying to be the best of the best of the best. Now, I'm not going to say I didn't fall into that trap a few times in my life. This is how I can tell you how I got out, or how I figured out how to train my mind. Because, in essence, you ever want to be a master in this your life, you got to master your emotions and master your mind. Your mind is not this physical gray matter between your skull. That's the only thing we've been told that it is. It's just a conductor of energy. And the energy, soul, whatever you want to describe it as, is who you truly are. This is just a meat suit. I'm sure I'm not the first person to say that, because I've heard it a few times before. And it's an apt description. Once you understand that there is no competition, there are no others, there are no betters and no worsers, there just is things. And we all have choices within those things. And this is how you choose your reality. You choose who and what you want to be. Every single aspect and every single day. Every single second that goes by. And you can choose that in those moments like that. When you're like, should I give this person something to eat? Or should I give this person $1? In that moment, you're deciding that I am the judge, jury, and executioner. If we give them something to eat, then they'll continue to survive and make our streets look bad. Well, you have to decide why that exists in the first place. I'm not expecting this place to be utopia. I know it's capable of being utopia, but I also know that if we don't have some kind of challenges in life, then we won't be robust. What those challenges look like, I don't pretend to want to know all of them. However, some things are unnecessary and not compatible with thriving or healthy competition for nutrients, survival, thriving. Some things is not in alignment with all of us surviving, or even the majority of us surviving. Some things are just competition for competition's sake. Another reason why I don't watch reality TV, never liked it. Because it's not real. It's competition for the lowest common denominator. And everybody's surprised why the next generation, every generation ever since reality TV started, just was a downward spiral of self-neglect. Even though the respect comes from money. The money they made makes them successful. Not necessarily, because some people are born with money. Did that make them more successful than you? Because if you took money out of the equation, completely out of the equation today, how successful are those people really? You say, well, money is a part of the equation. Well, it is, so we have to add it. But when you subtract the money, you find out who people truly are. And you never know who you meet. In that scenario we just posited, you never know who that is really. And so, it would be nice and kind and all those things lovely if you just see yourself in everyone else. But it's also a protective mechanism. Because if you understand, the only way I would treat someone the way they are treating me is if I didn't like them, or I didn't want to be around them, or if I had some kind of negative defect within my emotional self or my mental self. That's the only way I can treat them that way. A person who's mistreating you. If you see that for what it truly is, you can respect it. And by respect it, I don't mean put it on a pedestal. By respect it, I mean accept it. How they're treating you is how they view you. And then you decide if you view yourself that way. So this is kind of tail end of, hey, do you really love yourself? If you really love yourself, truly love yourself, every single time someone treats you in a manner that feels bad, physically, emotionally, spiritually, you say to yourself with self-love, if would be so inclined, I don't want to be treated like that. And then you set the boundary. I don't want to be treated like that. Say it, speak it, act on it. Think it, speak it, act on it, And at which time that person can decide to love you the way you love you, or decide not to. The moment they decide not to is the moment that y'all can part ways without no love lost. You can love yourself, you can love them, but you can do it by loving yourself. Loving yourself enough to say, I don't want to be treated like that. Loving yourself enough to know that it's okay if they see me as an option, but I see me as more than that. It's okay if they think it's okay to lie and steal and cheat. That's their life, and I'm not judge, jury, or executioner. However, I don't choose to be like that. Again, the scenario we posited before. If you and a friend are standing before that same homeless person, and one of y'all chooses to keep your money and one of y'all chooses to feed that person, you don't have to have negative feelings towards the one who chose not to feed them, but you can decide that I'm no longer aligned with this human being. I don't have to hate them for that to be the case. That doesn't feel right to me. I don't want to benefit from their friendship anymore. That's how you can choose. I'm not saying to choose that, but that's how we choose the energy around us. The energy that we exude is directly correlated to what we're most connected to. Wonder why, if you ever wonder why, you're hanging around a group of people and wondering why y'all all having similar problems, because y'all vibrating on a similar wave and frequency. Your energy, everything, the ripples and waves of your lives are interconnected. So when one goes through something, all go through something. And it might seem different in aspects, but it's similar in energy. The moment you choose different for yourself because you want different for yourself and you stick with that is the moment that you're no longer aligned with that pathway. Now, some things just happen because they're happenstance. Thinking presently, go to hierarchy of needs. Are my needs being met in this moment, even though it's uncomfortable? If the answer is yes, then this moment will pass. And I'll be okay on the other side of it. I gotta figure out a way to make myself okay, because outside of me, maybe nobody has the tools or the equipment, emotionally, mentally, or materially, to make this moment okay for me. I have to figure out a way to make it okay for myself. But if there are people who are inclined enough to assist and help you along the way, these are the people who are friends. They don't take from you, they don't lie to you, they don't steal from you. You don't feel like a lesser being in their presence. You feel like equals. Like I'm talking to a peer. These are your friends that can someday become family. You might say, well, blood is thicker than water. I don't know about that. We all have blood. I'm going to tell you something that is a secret, but it's not so secret. If you have blood coursing through your veins, you have family everywhere, everyone. And this is not biblical per se. It's more scientific than anything. All the DNA that ever was, as far as the human genome is concerned, is. Which means at any point in time, parts of your DNA is in somebody else, and they're in you. So, of course, your direct link to the tribe you were born into feels stronger, but that's also programming. Because they're adoptive children who feel just as loved and just as part of the community as someone who is born of a body of someone they're living with. I mean, what this perceived to be birth parents. But caregivers are caregivers. Title don't necessarily matter all that much. It's what they do. And this is why friendship, partnership, fatherhood, motherhood, these are just titles. But the titles denote behavior and vibration. To call someone a friend just because y'all happen to live in the same circumstances growing up your whole life, and yet you can't trust them with $1 sitting on the dresser and that's your friend, you might want to reconsider what you believe friendship to be. Same thing with a partner. You might want to reconsider what you perceive partnership to be, because that's directly correlated in reflection on how much you love you. You don't have to torment them to damnation to understand. You can choose people to be a part of your life that love you the way you love you. Or you can choose people who give you just a little bit because they know you're useful to them. That makes you a tool to them, not an actual person. And then you decide if that's what you're okay with being. And some people do choose that. I've seen it and it breaks my heart. It used to anyway, but now it's like, you see it, I have a moment where I feel a little sad for them, and then I'm like, that's their choice. That's what makes them comfortable. I need to be okay with that. I wasn't always like this. Oh man, I used to fight. I used to fight for every bit of that soul that was being captured by that moment. But then I learned to accept what is and be in the present moment. So even when you're fighting for somebody else's mental, emotional, or spiritual or physical freedom, you're also saying that you don't accept the present moment. You don't accept their choices. You're also trying to control them the way you think somebody else is trying to control them. Loving and caring means accepting a person for who they are and what they are. You don't have to be a part of it though. See, loving yourself enough to be like, that's hurtful to me to experience. I don't need to experience it multiple times for me to back away and go do something else. That's all I'm saying. Keep this message and these words in your mind throughout this next month while you process. And I'm suggesting that it's not a demand on order. It's just a suggestion. Anyway, y'all love.